Good morning, everybody. Can I encourage you to take your seats? Okay. Welcome. If I didn't meet you yesterday, my name is Karen Moss and I'm one of the steering group running the ITAG conference this year. And on behalf of the conference organisers, I'd like to welcome you all to ITAG. Before we get started, I need to do the housekeeping stuff. So I need to say that if a fire alarm sounds during this event, it's a real fire alarm. So we would need to leave the building, down the stairs, and assemble round up there where there's a statue of a guy called Brian Clough. Okay, once a famous football manager. Okay, so that's the assembly point. I have asked, and also the lift is actually fireproof, and if anybody needed assistance, there'd be somebody there to help you in the event of a fire. Toilets are available on all floors. The ones on this floor are rather grand 1920s Art Deco-y ones, which are that way and that way, the other side of the staircase. There's an accessible toilet on the top floor available, on the second floor available by the lift. Okay, so that's the housekeeping side of things. The first event on the programme this morning is our keynote from the No One Left Behind project, which is a project involved in the National Video Game Archive, Nottingham Trent University, and partners in Austria and Spain. This programme, which involves getting young people to code and to engage and to do well in education, I think is the overall aim. So we're going to start, and we've got Donna and Rachel, and some of their people are going to come and talk to us about the No One Left Behind project.
Okay, hello, good morning. Thank you all very much for coming. My name is Rachel Barrett. I'm the Education Manager of the National Video Game Arcade, which is just up the road there in Hockley. Hopefully some of you know it and have been there. If not, you should go, it's awesome. This is my colleague Dominic Martinovs, who is working on the No One Left Behind project with me. So I just wanted to do a bit of an introduction to the project and give it a little bit of a context, because we are just one of the many partners working on the project for the National Video Game Arcade. So I want to talk about what we do there. So before I talk at you, I have a clip to show you that hopefully gives you an idea of what we are about.
Now in its 5th year, and for now it's taken over Nottingham city centre. Developers and gamers from across the world come here to show off what they've got, and maybe even play some games as well. It isn't just about picking up a controller, there were plenty of other things going on as well, including a challenge for a developer to make a game in just 8 hours.
Okay, so I wanted to show you that just to demonstrate and hopefully give you a general idea of how we connect with, how we work with, and how we like to make available video games to the largest possible audience. And so that is the Game City Festival. It's an annual festival that happens every October half term. In fact, it's happening right now. And it's a little bit different to the other sort of the large video game events that happen throughout the world. It's not like the big expos where there's just lots and lots of screens and lots of people playing on consoles. We're very much about looking at video games culturally and what they can sort of bring to wider culture. We value video games as art. We value them as something you can do together as a group, that you can do with your family, that you can watch as a piece of entertainment, you can take part in. But most importantly, they are something that you can create. And that is the backbone of everything we do. We want to encourage everybody, from children to grannies, to make games. And luckily we live in a time where that is becoming more and more possible and accessible. Here we go. So we did the Game City Festival for 10 years, and then we decided that we needed to do something even bigger, and we opened the National Video Game Arcade in March 2015. That's been open over a year now, and it's going really, really well. So we consider the National Video Game Arcade the cultural home of video games. So it's a little bit like what we do for the festival, but over galleries, and we do different events. We hold workshops, and within this building we have been able to produce a video game education programme. So as part of the education programme, we got involved with the No One Left Behind project. As I said, we are one of the partners. We've been working very closely with NTU and other partners across Europe. So we are here as the video game people, so we're here to give our expertise on all things related to video games. I can do video games, but this button isn't. So we have been going into schools and using video game technology within a humanities context. So why do we think video games in classroom? Why is it a good thing? I doubt any of this is sort of new information. It's pretty well known that video games do have advantages to being used in the classroom. So the main thing for us is that we want to prepare students for a future within which it's pretty safe to say they will be using technology. I think it's safe to say no matter what job you do, the first thing you do in the morning is turn on your computer. So the students that are going to primary school this year, we have no idea what the world is going to look like when they enter the world of work. Safe to say they'll probably be on some sort of computer. It's also safe to say they'll probably be using some sort of video game technology or idea, whether it's coding or sort of, internet stuff, web page making, all those sorts of things that we can teach in schools now, not just in computer science lessons. So that's something we find that still in schools, students only use computers during their computer lesson. And although they're doing really good stuff, we want to sort of inject computer science and video game technologies into the rest of their education, and we have specifically been looking at humanities. So that gives you a bit of an idea of why the National Video Game Arcade has got involved and what we do and why we're here. So now I want to pass over to my colleague Don, who's going to talk a little bit more in depth about the actual project.
We've talked about the No One Left Behind project, but the No One Left Behind project uses an app called Pocket Code. It's a mobile visual programming system for smartphones and tablets, and is developed by the free and open source project Catrabat. Pocket Code has been independently developed, mainly in Austria at Graz University of Technology. It allows users starting from the age of 8 to about 17 within this project to develop game apps and animations directly on their smartphones. So there's on tablets, so there's no need for the use of a PC or any desktop computers. It's inspired by, but distinct from, the Scratch programming system. But similar to Scratch, its aim is to enable children and teenagers to creatively develop and share their own software. The main differences between Pocket Code and Scratch are the support and integration of multi-touch mobile devices and the use of the mobile device's special hardware, so such as inclination and acceleration and creating a compass app within 1 minute. And there's no need for a traditional PC, so when we've been going into schools, we've been able to go outside, take photos, being a lot more mobile with it. Following the constructivism approach, Pocket Code is a visual programming environment that allows users to creatively develop games and animations without previous programming knowledge. So I would go into school, I'd work with the teachers on a brief bit of training and sort of build from there, from one initial training session. Pocket Code was initiated in 2010 for Android devices and extended in 2011 and 2012 to Microsoft Windows phones, iPhones and iPads, as well as the HTML5 platform. So essentially all major mobile platforms are supported. The Android version of Pocket Code is the most advanced and is available free on Google Play. I advise everyone to just have a look at Pocket Code on Google Play and see for yourself. We've also got a table over there. We can discuss anything you'd like to later on after this. All versions of Pocket Code are divided into two main parts. An integrated development environment that allows young people to visually create their programs in a Lego brick style. I might be able to show some of that in a little while with some of the pupils that we've got here today. And a player or stage that allows people to run their own programs as well as programs of others. So as I said, it's very open source, so pupils can upload the games anywhere around the world, and anyone else can sort of download them and play them themselves. Pocket Code has been used to enhance game making as a tool for underpinning meaningful, effective use in education, underpinning learning and empowerment as a pathway for tackling social exclusion and supporting children to realise their full potential. This has been happening within the No One Left Behind project. The No One Left Behind project has received funding from the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovations Programme and involves pilots in 3 countries, namely the UK, Austria and Spain, with other partners in Germany. It focuses on different groups of pupils who are at risk of educational exclusion and has both academic partners and partners from the gaming and interactive media industry. The project has been created to unlock inclusive gaming creation and experiences in formal learning situations from primary to secondary level, and to take advantage of the opportunities and the potential of the growth of non-leisure applications of digital games to tackle challenges in the education sector, whilst teaching students game-making design so they will develop an inclusive mindset when designing games. No One Left Behind aims to integrate game mechanics, dynamics and data measurement and modelling transferred from digital games companies into the Pocket Code programming environment, to customise Pocket Code effectiveness and usability in education, to evaluate and develop the open source Pocket Code educational approach, and to integrate GPII technology to validate integration of a global and standardised accessible for all program, a platform. So that's partly why it's called No One Left Behind. The project follows a constructivist approach that embraces the concepts of active learning and hands-on instruction. Using Pocket Code to teach children to create digital games is a way to let them stretch their creativity, computational thinking skills, and empower them. Providing deeper learning experiences for students through coupling gaming with effective pedagogy and the curriculum, working alongside the teachers and our other partners such as NTU. No One Left Behind places inclusion as part of the education curricula of students from primary to secondary. It aims to teach inclusive design to empower and engage, and to ensure that students have access to the skills and experiences needed to become participants in the digital world, as well as articulate their understanding of digital games as media makers. The approaches and methodologies used in No One Left Behind are based on research, development and experimentation over the 2 years of the project. We're in the second year now, and we've been working with several schools, different ages, different abilities here, and also the other pilots over those 2 years. And we actually have someone here from Oakfield School that we'll have a little discussion with in a few moments about some of the things that we've done. We found that the experimental pilots have provided further insights and feedback on how to effectively structure and optimise game-making environments, getting feedback from the teachers, from the pupils, and to support meaningful learning with this. The ultimate aim is for No One Left Behind to reshape and support the acceleration of Pocket Code towards a user-centred and near market-ready application in the education market. With that, we have just had a new update, which we've had lots of feedback from all the pilots to create a part of the Pocket Code app called Create at School. So this is from feedback with the 3 experimental pilots in 3 countries, over 600 students in 8 schools, over 12 academic subjects. Create at School is an enhanced version of the Pocket Code app, which has been adapted and boosted for the education domain, and we'll be using it within school in a few weeks' time. The objective of the Create at School app is to utilise characteristics of game design, game and project-based learning, and collaboration through working on projects in selected subject areas. The improvements that we've had from the feedback over this past year to allow more accessibility is preferences in the settings menu for various different needs for accessibility, particularly things like using fine motor skills, making buttons larger if needed, to changing the contrast so it's for any visually impaired. Predefined profiles to unlock the app for students with special educational needs. Predefined templates to help students start their first programs without any prior knowledge. So, for instance, we've got 4 templates that we've started with. We're going to make a few more by 2017, beginning of 2017. But currently we have a puzzle game which has been adapted, which we can sort of build on, which is an odd one out. This one is an action game, so it's hand-to-eye coordination and quick to tap the appropriate objects. This originally started as a game based on diffusion in science, so it was reoxygenating blood cells, and now it's been sort of adapted so we can change the objects and develop it in whichever subject they want. An adventure game which started as a space theme, which is a very linear adventure game, and how to sort of go to the next part of the adventure, and then changing the backgrounds and changing the objects so we can make it again any subject, and a quiz game, so multiple choice quiz, and working on that. The Create School app created within the project has been continually evaluated against concepts and metrics through this, and we have generated and refined game-making designs and templates as we've moved along. It is a selection of pre-coded content that supports game creation at different educational levels and academic subjects. It aims at matching gaming technology with subject-relevant content. These templates will support game design aspects that support the learning already taught in schools. Children will gradually acquire different skills to set game challenges over several courses, and based on the game mechanics and dynamics, and will discover what kind of games they can make for a given project as we move on, and they can make their own games using the templates and what they would like to do, they would like to make with that. Currently, to use the Create at School app, it's just for the schools within the Knoll project. Pocket Code itself, you can download and play. But within the Created Schools, that's we're still doing that within the experimental pilots, it's linked with a login at the moment, so it's tracked and bound to one anonymised username. This allows us to find certain learning achievements and parameters for teachers, and we're currently creating a dashboard for this data, which should help teachers to evaluate their students' projects and quickly assess what they're doing within the session to see if they're working on task in a particular subject, if they're creating certain objects, if they're deleting things to show sort of persistence and show engagement. This project will also support the development of a new pedagogy which will relate to the development of gaming in the classroom and add to research which identifies barriers to using technologies in classrooms and how teachers can use gaming with disengaged learners to support them in progression. The involvement and investment of time and commitment of teachers is incredibly important, and it is with great thanks to the staff of the schools to allow this project to continue. Their partnership provides opportunity to identify elements of emerging pedagogy through the project, which can be disseminated widely as gaming is increasingly being used to aid learning. And with that, I'd like to perhaps show a little bit of Pocket Code if we can with the screencasting, see if we can get that set up. It might have gone off slightly, so I'll see if it works. And get one of the pupils, one of the teachers up here actually. So if we could have Lucy and Katie from Oakfield School. I think I've got to put it back on here. Let's see. See if we can get it to work. And then we can show something. Right. Is it linked in? No, okay. Hang on, I'll exit this. So while I'm doing this, so you've been working on Pocket Code, and what have you been enjoying it? What have you been doing with Pocket Code? Can you remember anything you did? Because it was before the summer since I last been in. So what were we doing on Pocket Code? Remember anything? Made a sandwich. So how did we make a sandwich? We I think that was part of doing a sequence of.
Yeah. So in Key Stage 4 and 6th form at our school, we focus a lot on life skills. So that's the area we were focusing on, and sequencing stages of tasks is really important for our students. So we were doing that practically, actually making sandwiches and making drinks that we linked with Pocket Code and with liaison games.
I could actually show you that now on the screen. It's down there as well. So this is one that we did. Now this is with another pupil that isn't here today, but Hassan was going to be here. So this is something we did where we. Let's see, so this is what we did. You were in this lesson as well, were you, Lucy? Yeah. So we made a sandwich, we took photos, we put it in a sequence, using all the ingredients, so it's like a life and work skills project, and what the pupils did, as well as taking the photos, as well as putting the sequence together, was showing it, putting in a structure of all the looks of the object together. So we may have put them in a certain order and put them in the wrong order and put them together like that, so it was in the correct sequence. We also did some games that were already created. Do you remember the one about getting ready in the morning if you were going for an interview? So we've got one here, and it's called actually Good Morning Lucy. this. And so, what was this game about? Do you know what this game was about? Yeah. So, oh, right. So, yeah, everyone in this, it was an interesting debate that we had in the class because everyone had a different routine in the morning. So we all had to sort of think about how we can actually code this into different ways into a routine. So, but everyone had a shower first in the morning, and then we carried on trying to get ready for getting ready for an interview. So with this, we had the icons. Words all there. We had to make sure which ones were best for getting ready in the morning for an interview. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And then, particularly with Lucy, then we had a different sequence of them, and Lucy made sure that she made it get my hair ready for work first before for a lot of this. It wasn't as important for them. So we carried on with that. So that was the kind of thing we did. So thank you very much, Lucy. Yeah, we'll be back in school in the next couple of weeks to continue with the new app. So thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, that's about it. If there is any any questions, I'm ready to ask you. Speak to you later. Yes.
Yeah, I was one of the originators bringing the English partners on board in the project. So I brought you on board together with MCU. Now, my question is, with everything that you have made, how much have you considered actually accessibility?
The accessibility.
With respect to people, for example, that uses this technology on Android phones, for example, how much does what you have done in the project respect these accessibility guidelines, and can a person with very reduced vision actually use the app to create games? I think this is something that should be.
Yeah. So we've. With the new Creative School app, we've got feedback from various the different pilots who have different areas of sort of exclusion that we've worked on, and here it's more focused on special educational needs. So we've looked at that, and accessibility has been sort of the main focus of us. We've worked with various pupils, including Oakfield School, where there's a different needs, and with the GPII that we've started to connect with, we've given the different sort of choices at the beginning. So we've taken things like the fine motor to be able to work with the larger keyboard, which they've built into that now, and with working with certain contrasts. So it's still working on it, so it might be that we need to still continue with that to find that everyone is available to
Greg from the
use it.
Heiden is on board, obviously. Greg from the Heiden from GPII is on board. So has mobility accessibility framework been respected, both on iPhone, both on Windows, both on Android? Has that been respected?
I think we've focused mostly on the Android at the moment.
So the accessibility framework there, has that been accepted? Has that been respected? So whatever code you write, is that in alignment with mobility accessibility framework for Android? Or is this a question I should ask to someone else?
It's, I think it's something we're still sort of working on, I think, yes.
I think that would be a question for the app developers.
The Austrian guys from France.
Yeah, I know from sort of our position, we've been working very carefully to make it as accessible as possible. I don't think we've specifically lined everything up to what you're talking about, but I would be really interested in having a look at what that is, because I'm not entirely sure what it is.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And then, yeah, definitely feedback. Yeah, but whatever that, we'll feedback to Austria after that.
Anybody else?
So, by all means, look for Pocket Code on Google Play, and it's a free open source app, so please have a search for that, and we'd love some feedback.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to Rachel and Don for kicking off this morning's proceedings, and certainly with that presentation about games, because the theme this morning is games, but assistive technology and virtual reality with a heavy sort of health flavour. So I'm pleased to welcome our first speaker this morning, and that's Dr. Sue Cobb, who's a colleague of mine from the University of Nottingham. And Sue is going to talk about gamification in user involvement in the design, or trying to get people to use their hearing aids. So, Sue, over to you.
Thank you very much, Penny. Can you all hear me okay? And perhaps, rather ironically, I confess that I actually currently have a temporary hearing loss myself, so I actually find it difficult to judge my own volume and to hear sounds correctly in the room. So forgive me if I'm going up and down in volume and that's disturbing you. So I'm here today to talk about one of the research projects that our group is involved in, and this is looking at the use of gaming technologies to support users in learning about how to use hearing aids. And my colleagues here, who co-authored this particular part of the research, would have loved to be here today to present these games to you, but they're currently at a workshop evaluating the first development of these games. So maybe next year they'll be able to come along and show you how it all works. Oh. Anything happening?
Point it.
Thank you. Do I have to point it at what? Like you? Okay. Okay, so the project's called 3D Tune-In, and that's a short version for 3D games for tuning and learning about hearing aids. The project website is here, and I do have some leaflets which I've put out on the table out there for you to take away if you're interested. So the project is funded by the European Union under Horizon 2020. It's a 3-year project which started in April 2015, so it will finish in 2018. It comprises 4 academic research groups from 3 countries, the UK, Spain and Italy, and 5 SME, small industries, either working in game and technology development or hearing aid design and manufacture. Okay. So this project is addressing the problem that as hearing aid technologies develop and we're moving on from analog devices to digital hearing aids that are capable of configuration to make better use of how sound in different environments is actually received through the device. The problem is that users actually don't understand how to use these devices properly. And many of them, particularly the older users, tend to use them as if they're analog hearing aids, so they just put them in, they leave them on one setting, and they never change that. So they then experience problems and difficulties in different situations that could be eased by changing the settings of their device, but they don't do so because they don't know how to. So they put up with a sort of inferior solution to what they actually have available to them. They're not actually making use of the benefits of digital devices that could actually make a huge difference to their quality of life. So in this project, we've taken a participatory design approach whereby we're involving experts and end users themselves in the design process to help inform development of a toolkit and a set of games that can be used to help users to understand about how hearing aids work and how they can, what the effect of changing the settings is, and also to enable other people who don't have hearing impairment to learn about what that experience is like and to experience that a little bit for themselves. Also, these tools might allow the hearing aid technology developers to better showcase the facilities that their devices offer. And the SME companies are interested in, is there a market for new games here that could be developed to support users with hearing loss? This is the project structure. As I said, there's sort of 4 academic partners here. We're coming from computing science, human factors, and sound and hearing specialists. There's gaming developer partners over there who specialise in different aspects of gaming and music and audio technologies. Associations that we've partnered who are providing access to the end users themselves in the process. And GN Hearing there is a hearing aid technology developer who will be looking to actually commercialise the outputs here. And the idea is to develop a cross-platform toolkit on a modular basis that can be used to support a number of apps, and we've identified 5 different applications for this project. One related to calibration of your hearing aids so that you can listen to and appreciate music, applications for the elderly to help them to learn how to calibrate their devices, assessment and emulation of hearing aid emulation for children, some educational games, and also demonstration for professionals, so audiologists, to help them to calibrate and learn how to teach users how to calibrate their devices. As I've said, it's really important that the stakeholders are engaged in this project so they inform the development. They're the end users, so we need to know what it is they use, or what they need, and what they're going to make use of. So we've involved hearing aid users themselves, professionals involved in supporting individuals in installing and configuring their hearing aids, but also non-hearing aid users as well. What we want to understand is what's the current practice in support for individuals in setting up and choosing their hearing aids and configuring them, but also the experience of individuals. So what is it like for them in their daily life? What problems do they encounter? And what strategies do they use now to try to overcome these problems? Also asking them then their input into the development of the suite of games so that we can make sure we develop games that are actually useful and meaningful. So the initial stages of our work were the requirements gathering process, and we involved a number of end users from different age groups, as you can see here, across the different partner countries involved in the project. We did this on a paired interview basis, so in each case we've interviewed an individual with who was a hearing aid user, but also in partnership with a non-hearing aid user, someone in that maybe a family, member of their family or friend who they communicate with regularly, because we wanted the experience from both sides of that communication experience. So in total we had 18 pairs of users supporting us, and the criteria was they were individuals with mild to severe hearing loss, users of different types of hearing aids, so either behind the ear, in the canal, or completely in ear canal, but also have an interest in technology, because our question about the use of gaming might not get us very far if they're not really interested in using gaming technology. First of all, there was a questionnaire. So they were sent a questionnaire, first of all, to fill in before they came to the interview, and this asked a set of questions around what type of hearing problem do they have, what hearing aids do they use, what functions do they have on their device and which ones do they make use of, how satisfied they are with that, go faster, their experiences, and so on. And then they came to the interview with the questionnaire, and then we asked them further questions about how they work, what the quality of life is in different contexts, either school or home, depending on the age. But then specific questions around how satisfied they were with the use of their hearing aid and their ability to understand others, to localise sound, to communicate effectively with other people. We asked the non-hearing aid partner their experience in terms of how they found, what strategies did they need to develop to support their partner, and what their experience was in trying to facilitate them to make things easier. Perhaps not unexpectedly, the most common finding was that background noise is particularly problematic. Completely understand that in all contexts. So being able to filter out different sounds is really, really difficult. But also not being able to see who's speaking to you. So not locating where someone is when they're not within your line of sight. I'll move on because you want to see the games. Reasons for not changing the settings, really that people don't understand how to use them. They don't appreciate the difference that it makes. And they don't really recognise when, where and how to make changes. So there's 5 scenarios coming out from this project aimed at different age groups, some aimed at learning about hearing loss, others aimed at teaching people how to configure the hearing aid. I quickly want to mention the D'Artagnan game that's designed for young children aged 6 to 12. So it's a mobile game designed to develop across platforms using a sort of simple platformer scenario, kind of Mario type game where they're progressing through